There's a lot on the line with this summer's forecast. Whether you've got millions of dollars of crops in the field, a summer festival planned, a vacation, or you just want to see how your garden and lawn are going to do, we do seasonal forecasting every day, every week of the year. And it all starts right here. I keep all these records here, written records with past weather trends dating back 150 years or more. We also utilize model data on computers and we analyze analog data, again, via the written accounts as well as data we have on computers. So analog, written or computers, and also model data is utilized in a summer forecast. Now, what we're looking at for this summer is a La Nina that will be coming on. We've got an Indian Ocean dipole that's positive, and a TNA that's very susceptible to a lot of hurricanes and tropical systems. And just overall, the oceans are very, very warm. The Atlantic, the Gulf, the North Pacific have marine heat waves. This is just a tiny bit of what we're looking at when we forecast for a growing season or we forecast for a month or a few months in advance. So really getting into mid-June here, it's not like we're getting blasted with heat and it's not like we're getting blasted with a lot of heavy rain either. That heavy rain corridor is going to be generally southwest of us, kind of on the periphery of what I call the Yucatan and Chihuahuan Ridge, which has been semi-permanent through the spring. We'll watch the tropics. Any one of these could impact Florida by the mid part or perhaps late part of June. But for us, we're looking at a pretty nice early to mid-June. But then I think once we get past about the 15th, things begin to change. After this pattern of temperatures trending below normal and the precip trending below normal, getting a little dry here, some of the grass may start to brown just a little bit, we look towards mid and late June. After that 15th and onward, this is the 16th through the 28th. Now we are still drier than normal here, but the tropics ramp up. We're looking at potential of a couple tropical systems, Florida, Gulf Coast, or maybe down here towards Texas. The main severe weather corridor looks to be the northern plains, Alberta, over here to Minnesota. But this is upper ridging here from the desert southwest right into the Midwest. And our intense heat, any heat wave we get this summer, won't necessarily be coming from Texas like it normally does. It's going to be coming from Arizona and New Mexico and kind of moving northeastward in this general direction. When we look at temperatures, again, we are above normal for the latter half of June, upper ridging building. Again, down south, it's muggy but not overly hot, and the cooler weather is off to the west. Temperatures well into the 90s come late June. So the first half of June will be much different than the second half of June around here. And then we start to turn continued hot, continued dry, June 29th through July 6th. That upper ridge hanging on. Hot weather, temperatures above normal from the desert southwest right into southern Canada. Very similar weather pattern that to what we're going to have the 16th through the 28th. And the rainfall is still below normal here. Your severe weather risk, especially derecho risk, will be north of us. Ontario, UP of Michigan, Minnesota, back to Alberta. Florida may calm down in terms of tropical development, but we've got to watch the Texas, Mexico to Alabama corridor for the potential tropical development. Again, hyperactive tropics for this summer and right into the fall. And again, you see the drier weather up in our area. May start to see some crop stress evolve during that time. Now, when we go from between July 6th and 14th, we're going to start to see a slight pattern change. Now, it's still above normal temperature-wise overall here, right into mid-July and even part of late July. But the hot ridge will tend to split into two pieces. Extreme heat in the southwest. For us, we are still averaging above normal. However, we've got the potential of a little relief in late July from rainfall. Rainfall may go above normal for a brief time. That would be tremendous for us if we can get that in late July to get water on the crop and tend to diminish the crop stress. The below normal rainfall stays northeast of us. And then once we get to August, most of the modeling is drier than normal here, but it wouldn't surprise me if we get the remnants of a hurricane up into our area. If we don't get that, it's probably going to end up drier than normal, even if we get storms late in the month. we've got to watch a potential tropical track in our area. And overall, August looks warmer than normal. So when we take the summer as a whole, and we take June, July, and August, all of it in general, below normal rainfall here, very wet in the southeast U.S. and north of us. We got to watch for flash drought conditions here. May get some crop relief in late July for a time. Then we'll watch the tropics that bring us rainfall in late August. And then hotter than normal in our area back to the desert southwest. Not as hot in the south because it's so wet, and not as hot as you go northwestward. So that's a look at our summer outlook. Kind of gives you an idea of what to expect over the next 3 months.
According to the CDC, 2,300 people lost their lives due to a heat-related illness, and over 120,000 people went to the emergency room due to a heat-related illness. So it's very important to make sure you know the differences between heat stroke and heat exhaustion. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. So with heat exhaustion and heat stroke, you need to know the differences between the two because there's some big differences that may surprise you. With heat exhaustion, you may feel faint, a little dizzy, you might be sweating quite a bit, but with heat stroke, you're going to have a headache and you will not be sweating. With heat exhaustion, you'll also have cool, pale, clammy skin, while heat stroke, you're going to have wet, hot, dry skin. And with heat exhaustion, you're going to have a rapid, weak pulse, but a rapid, strong pulse with a heat stroke and muscle cramps with heat exhaustion. And with heat stroke, you may lose consciousness. And both of them call for different areas that you can protect yourself or get better with that. So with heat exhaustion, get to a cool, air-conditioned place, drink plenty of water if you're conscious, take a cool shower or use a cold compress to cool yourself down. So it's not as extreme as a heat stroke. If you do have those symptoms of heat stroke, be sure to call 911 immediately if you or someone else are experiencing those symptoms. Now that you know the difference between heat exhaustion and heat stroke, it's good to know how to stay cool during those very hot days of summer, and your clothing actually plays a big part in that. So say you're wearing a white shirt, the ambient air temperature is about 74 degrees, but the shirt temperature right now is showing about 86 degrees, but the black shirt, watch the difference, 112 degrees. That's almost a 30-degree difference in temperature between wearing a white shirt and a black shirt. The black shirt takes all the sun's rays and absorbs that energy from the sun. So you'll want to make sure you wear that light colored clothing if you're outside. Not light as in weight, but light as in color. So whites, maybe some light blues, but anything dark will absorb that heat and make you feel much hotter. One tool that we'll be using in the Storm Team 18 Weather Center throughout the summer to keep you safe and ahead of some very hot weather is our new heat risk map that really shows the entire United States, but we can localize it down to our counties, and it has different levels to it, 0 to 4, with 0 being it's okay to be outside. It will be a wider color. So if you do see our map on air and you see that red or magenta for our viewing area, those who are susceptible to heat-related illnesses probably need to stay inside or stay in air conditioning, shade, drink plenty of water if you'll be outside during those times. But we'll be using this map and we can actually forecast a few days out, 1, 2, even out to about 5 to 6 days if there's going to be heat-related illnesses that could occur during dangerous times of heat. So along with the heat, we do have to deal with those summertime storms. Storm Team 18 meteorologist Eric Segbor has more on that.
Thank you, David. Now, I'm going to dive into this thing which we call the ring of fire pattern, which actually is an active pattern that usually takes place during the summer here in the U.S. And today, I'll be diving into what causes this pattern to form. Now, the first step to this pattern actually beginning usually comes in association to a strong high pressure down in the deep south, which usually, let's say, example of it being down here towards western Texas, eastern New Mexico. And usually with this high pressure, that usually brings dry, sinking air. But during the summer, this can bring sinking, dry, hot air to the surface. And usually with high pressure, if it's strong enough, this can lead to to high pressure air spreading pretty far out. And usually with that being the case, that can lead to drier air spreading, let's say, to portions of the deep south, and also some hot air too, and also to portions of the west, deep south. And sometimes if it's strong enough, it can move as further north as Minnesota, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, but it depends on how strong this high pressure is. And usually when that occurs, this is the first ingredient which we usually have for in conjunction to severe weather. But the other ingredient that we need for that to take place is moisture, which comes in from the deep south. And even though it's not highlighted here, usually during the summer, we still have moisture coming in from the south from the Gulf of Mexico, especially with it being so hot during the summer, that moisture continues to stream in. But usually toward north where there is, let's say there's a jet stream pretty far up north, far up toward north here in Canada, this is an area where it's quite unfavorable for moisture to actually reach, and this is usually we have high pressure keeping it nice and dry. But within this middle area, which is not quite highlighted here, is usually where we have the moisture streaming in pretty frequently up here. And with high pressure not in place in that area, with any systems that come straight from, let's say, the Pacific into our country, actually can develop. And with that being the case, this is how we get the ring of fire, which is constant rounds of storms along the edge of this high pressure ridge, which usually pushes hot, dry air into here. And also with moisture streaming in at the same time, this can lead to, again, the development of some constant storm complexes in this area. And also with that, sometimes we can get derechos and even some squall lines to move through this region, hence why we get those fast-moving wind events here in portions of the Ohio Valley, even up here towards the plains during the course of the summer. But with summer, this can still occur, especially with it being well into the hot season. We can still have that potential for some severe weather, especially with this pattern taking place here in portions of the U.S.
That's our Storm Team 18's summer outlook. As you know, weather for our area can take some twists and turns, so we'll keep you posted as the summer unfolds. And as always, you can get a deeper dive into local weather outlook on Chad's blog at WLFI.com. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay safe this summer.